Welcome to our TV show program. Today we are going to talk with the candidates for the presidency of Peru Republic. We are going to listen to their proposal and what area their government will focus on most if they become president. Okay, let's begin. Alexandra, welcome. Tell us about your proposal to Peru.
In Peru, corruption. The most important fact that it had marked to Peru was in 2000, when the majority of the government members at that time they have done many illegal acts of corruption. Fortunately, its type of sin was filming to have evidence and to capture them. It was called Los Bloody Videos. With the reality the events had happened with the objective of the 2000 election. We were arranged with bribes to be Fujimori reelected. That was the beginning of a long list of corruption cases from each politician who was accused by corruption and has any connection with any this king of apps. The situation was getting worse, but this case stayed in the process to give a judgment, and it's sometimes worrisome that sometimes that happening a long time ago continue giving problems. If I have the opportunity to make the choice to manage this problematic, it will take of the king of people from their power in government and proceed to the necessary investigation with a strict procedure to follow for the justice to clear any query. Precarious human rights situation. According to the ONU, the government of Peru has filed to guarantee respectively rights of its population, as well as freedom of expression and the censorship in the news. As last year, they have registered around 212 protests about social conflict and socio-environmental, conforming the 69%, mainly in the mining industry around 65%. The problem here is bad control of the king of problem because they don't know how to solve a conflict with an effective structure or strategy. So they prefer to do not face the governmental conflict. We have found two problems here: the censorship and resolution of problematic. If I were the president, I would let the media to inform to the population as they deserve. It's useless to try to conceal the news in everybody has access to online communication.
Thank you, Alexandra, for that information and share your ideas. And now, I'm going to talk about education in Peru, another important part of any country could have. So, I will be focused on two topics, child labor and illiteracy. My name is Cesar Tenesaca, and as a president, I will help in this area. So, let's start with some information about child labor, one of the biggest problems that Peru has, which occasioned a negative effect in their life quality and education. At last decades, young Peruvians drop out before finishing high school. Around the 2000s, approximately 30% of teenagers from 12 to 17 years old worked to support themselves economically. 20% of kids from 6 to 17 years old had a job. 11% from 6 to 11 years old were in the labor market. It shows the bad monetary administration of the state to children's needs and their rights as education, which indicates that there are a serious inequality, economic and governmental negligence. Currently, it is still growing in the country, especially now in the pandemic, exposing them to a greater danger that will affect their health with the time. If they don't receive a quality education, they will not have better opportunities to their self-improvement in work professions. And it means that the government is creating a illiterate people. So it must be improved as investing in education and children's rights to access it, as well as health if I were the president. Let's continue with the next topic. As I said before, illiteracy is an effect that occurs when the education is not influenced in the Peruvians' life depending on why they aren't participating with the education program, for example, the child labor. Fortunately, the illiteracy has been reducing each year, but it still exists over a million of people that do not read or write. On another hand, it is not worse as other countries, for example, Zimbabwe, Syria or Botswana, which have a huge percent of people with illiteracy. Another important point as the illiteracy is the participation of women in society, which deserve the same opportunities as men economically, politically, and culturally. It all begins with education that each Peruvian deserves to create a better future for anybody without any
Good morning, dear viewers and Peruvian compatriots. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to present my proposal to all of you, Peruvian citizens, in case I am elected as your next president. We know that Peru, for decades and decades, has had to go through many problems, not only in its economy, but also in society at large. But my team, which is made up of professionals and experts in governing a country, and I believe that to bring about excellent changes in Peru, a government must first begin to work on what constitutes the basis of society, which are families. If the family is not well cared for, nurtured, and strengthened, Peru's fate will remain the same underdeveloped countries with a high rate of poverty, hunger, and unemployment. For that reason, if I were the next president of Peru, I would work to overcome the hunger that thousands and thousands of families, and especially Peruvian children, live. If we do not have children with a favorable state of health today, how will they be overcome and will they be intelligent students who will promote the development of Peru? Hunger in Peru is one of the main problems my government will work on. But let me show you a little bit how this problem has affected our country in the last years. Hunger in Peru. The problems and my roles. What would I change if I were the next president of Peru? Peru is a country that has battled with issues of chronic hunger and malnutrition for many years. High rates of poverty, gender inequality, and lack of access to education has contributed to hunger-related issues throughout the country. Issues of poverty and hunger are more prevalent among the rural, indigenous population of Peru. About 45% of Peru's total population is indigenous, and 52% of those who live below the extreme poverty line are indigenous. This disparity reflects cultural attitudes that have isolated and marginalized indigenous populations, causing their poverty. Chronic hunger and malnutrition among this population is produced by social inequalities exemplified by unequal resource distribution, lack of access to fresh water, and lack of formal education. Also, Peru has struggled with these problems in the past. There has not been progress in addressing this issue, which serves as a worrying sign for those in need. Okay, compatriots, my actions against hunger that I would do if I were the next president. First, I will carry out a range of food security programs that it will aim to combat child malnutrition and chronic micronutrient deficiency. Second, I will work to strengthen government health systems and community-based organizations to improve information systems. Third, I will promote breastfeeding and strengthen commitment to biofortification and nutritional supplements for children under 3 years of age. Our expertise in clean water and sanitation will also need in rural Peru, where our reconstruction activities will focus on providing access to drinkable water while we rebuild irrigation systems and we provide livelihood support for vulnerable communities. Next, I will promote education. Then, I will help raise awareness of the problem. I will maintain world food trade. The last, I will support the capacity of small producers to increase food production. To conclude, dear Peruvians, I look forward to your support in the forthcoming elections to implement this world plan for a better future in our country, Peru. Thank you so much. See you soon.
We have been talking about Peru related because we cannot hide many of the problems we are going through as a country. Governments that do not listen to their people and cannot serve a country that is not heard to, that is not understood, and not attended to is not mystery to anyone going through economic crisis. We have broken world records in a falling economy, unemployment, and increasing poverty. And they are here to propose a change to be able to find a fair balance between efforts to promote economic growth and at the same time eradicate poverty. I'm here to talk to you about the future and lead them to a country that is for us, but that will result in brutal measures and work together for the country. One of the first changes that I will make in the country will be the construction of roads and electrification so that farmers in rural areas can connect more easily with the markets where they sell their products. This in turn promotes access to schools and health centers. To be able to combat poverty, I have as many proposed that growth benefits to the poorest. Therefore, a tax will create that reduce a small economic percentage large companies. This percentage will be invested in education, especially in rural areas of the country, and equality teachers. We will create a program where we will hire people temporarily to build schools, clinics, rural changers, and enter many other public spaces. In Peru, in a country that has many beautiful places, for that reason, agriculture, tourism, and services are developed so that the economy depends less on primary sectors such as omitting and hydrocarbons. A limited number of schools will be created especially for exceptionally talented people still with few resources. This proposal
Elderly, the biggest problem is society, because people think and act differently. There are disagreements between them. However, this is more of a problem when people focus on how other people lead their life or the simple fact of how they look or talk. For example, here in Peru, although 82% of the population is a boreal or half-breed, another 18% of the population is Spanish European descent. There is that 18% of the people who discriminate against those their homeland, who strangers through. Of course, this don't mean is there is the way on right. However, that there is this problem that's come a long time, not only in Peru, but in the world. However, know that we are in the 21st century. Social problems are based not only on rational discrimination, but also towards the LGBT community because of their sexual orientation and gender identity. Even though the LGBT community grows stronger every day, there are still people who see towards them verbally and physically. Unfortunately, some cases even end in death. On the other hand, they are trafficked in a person and sexual exploitation where unfortunately Peru is a country that acts in this case affects many people, especially those under 80 who are the most vulnerable in these cases. Given all this, we realize that society's essential sin is missing, which will be respected. That is why, as a conscious future princess, I feel that should establish a new standard of protection of our society. Let every person who will practice the citizen of this nation be prepared not only physically and mentally, but also in an emotional way to empathize with those who see that they need help. Let them be everywhere, not only on the main street, but in those places that are now practically abandoned. That people who seem in danger when they go home can count on the security that person there gives them. There is the school. They start teaching under the concept of the love and respect, and at home as well because there is it all start where we begin to understand it does not matter how we are, how we are look, or what we want, that simply because we are human, we are need to respect it.